I'm heading off on a trip very shortly in the next couple of weeks, and it's a 2-week long trip. I'm going up to Brisbane, and I'll go up the coast and come back down inland. And it's the first time I've been away for a longer period with this, so I'm just running over things in my head about different things that I'm going to need. And a couple of things that I've actually got for the camper trailer and the car, well, just the situation that I have, that I never really thought I'd ever have. I'll show you the first one. I'm going to do a review on this, but I want to use it for a little bit of time before I actually give it a thumbs up or thumbs down. It's this. So you might remember that there's inside this door here. Let me show you here. I've got this all locked up at the moment, or had it all locked up. So I've got the Jookla hot water system there, and it works really well. It's one of those things that I never thought I would have in a camping setup as well. But like I've said in previous videos, as things develop, as technology develops and I get a little bit older, I kind of want some of that luxury. But what I've come across as I'm planning my trip, some of the places that I stay, I've got to explain, I suppose. When I'm on this trip, I've got 2 YouTube channels. I've got this one here, and I've got a photography channel. The photography one is a lot bigger than this one. And when I'm going on this trip, I've actually scheduled a couple of stops along the way to film content with other creators, to do videos with those guys. And one place that I'm staying at, I've got to stay there for 2 days, and I want to be able to use the shower. But it's also a little bit public. So I've ended up installing one of these. Now this is, you may have seen some Stan Hema stuff that I've done before, and I've asked the guys at Vic Off-Road to send me one, and they did. I've installed this now. The way I've installed this on the 23.0 rooftop tent is, you might be able to see underneath there. I just had to drill some extra holes into this bracket that comes with the shower tent, so it fits in the guides underneath the rooftop tent. I'll do a full video on that later. I want to test it for a little while first. I don't want to sit here and say it's bloody awesome if it's not. So in a 2-week shakedown trip, if you like, it'll get a bit of use. So the install of that was pretty bloody simple. The setup of it is, as in like setting it up when you need to use it, is pretty damn quick as well. I've seen some comments on other videos where people have said, on some reviews I should say online, where people have said the hinges aren't very good, and I don't know, I'm not seeing that personally, but we'll wait till I use it for a while and we'll make up our mind over that. There's a couple of things I need to do to this camper trailer. One of them has to do with the fridge cable, and I'll just open this up. One of these will be locked. Well, they're both locked. So the fridge cable, you get those fridge guide, the cable guides that you can get, and I don't want to spend money just for the sake of spending money, you know. So what I've done in the Cruiser, actually I'll show you that first, because I'm going to replicate that in the camper trailer. So underneath here, you see that? Yeah, you can see that. In the fridge, behind here in the fridge slide, the cable does, well, the same sort of thing. And what I've got up there is just a tiny little Oki strap that I run the cable up and through, so it's got a little bit of spring. So it's never going to get caught in the railings here. And when you consider how much those, what do you call it, the cable guides, they're not cheap. An Oki strap is cheaper, and I've had this going like this for well, years, and it's working just fine. So I want to do the same thing in the trailer, but I don't have somewhere there immediately to hook this up to. If I undo that, open up this. So this is the cable, obviously, I'm talking about. Can you see that? Yeah, you can see that. And I'll bring this, just let me undo this so you can see. So in, this is where it plugs into on the side here on this Anderson plug, and the cable just freely floats around, and quite often it gets caught just here. And it'll end up busting the cable, I'm sure of it. So what I'm going to do is put a hook up on that wall there and do the same thing, like have this on an Oki strap up there, because when this closes, when this whole drawer closes up, it doesn't go quite all the way to the end. There's a little bit of room there, so I think I'll be able to do the Oki strap idea up there, and it should work pretty well. The downside of that is that I'll have to take this out and drill some holes from inside there. Where have I got it? I've got it here a sec, just one sec. So this is what I'm going to use. I don't even know what these bloody things are called. Just like a U-shaped bolt, if you like. That's going to go on the wall at the end, and then this little carabiner here, I'll have that. I may not need this yet. I've got this because we just live a long way from town, so I got both of these just in case, and this will clip onto here and the Oki strap will go onto this, or through this. I'm thinking that the whole elastic will go through this, but if it works out that I don't need it to be doubled over, I may not need the carabiner. I'll just put this on the wall and hook the Oki strap straight onto here. So time will tell with that one. Not really sure how I'm going to do this yet. I think what I'll end up doing is we'll take the fridge out. I might plonk Sarah up here and slide her in the back there, because she's tiny, and she can mount all this to the wall, and I'll go through the other side over here and drill a couple of holes up on this wall in here so I can bolt these from the other side. It should work. It should work. So I'll leave them. That's a job for a little bit. There's something else that I've had to buy. So you guys, if you watch what I do, it's normally solo stuff that I do. Rarely am I with anyone else. And usually if there's someone else, it's usually Sarah. So it's not that big a deal. You can see what I mean by the cable there. I had to hold that there while I put it in. And one day I'll forget to do that, holding the cable as I push it in, and it'll bust the cable, and I don't want to be doing, and especially if I don't notice it, because then the fridge will turn off and the food that I have in there will be no bloody good. Yeah, so there's something else that I've bought. I'll show you. Don't think I've shown you in here before. So I've got this shipping container, and this shipping container is kind of the storage for all different camping gear. It's probably a bit too dark in here, is it? So Sarah keeps her saddlery stuff here for the horse. We pack a heap of camping gear up here. There's the doona and stuff for the rooftop tent. Oh, this is the thing that I was going to show you. What's in this box here. I've also got something different about that, but what's in this box is something that I never ever thought I would ever purchase, ever. So I'll go and get it and bring it out here, and I'll open it up and we'll have a look at it together. You've probably got one yourself. I've just never had one. And it's a toilet, because I would normally, this is a bag that I got to put it in, to put the toilet in, some of the chemicals, and some more of the chemicals, and the toilet itself. Don't use a knife. It says there, don't use a knife. Okay. How exciting is this? It's a toilet. Looks like it's got a hole there. I'm guessing that the plunger bit, or the plug, I guess there's a plug, will be inside it. There they are. Well, there you go, a bloody toilet. And the reason that I've got this, this was probably going to be one of those things that I review again after I've used it for a while. It's because of the campsites that I'm going to go to. I believe that even in some states in the country, that you can't actually go to certain places unless you actually have one. So it's probably best getting one anyway. I've worked out the measurements, it'll fit in here just fine. I got the bag, the carry bag for it, just so that I can put it into here without getting dirty. I've never used one, so I think it's going to be fine. All the reviews and stuff that I've seen, it'll be fine. It's not going to be messy or anything. So, a toilet and a shower, man. As I'm buying this stuff online, well, the San Hema stuff I didn't buy. Vic Off-Road sent that to me, but the other stuff I buy myself. And as I buy this stuff, and as I talk about getting it and putting it into the vehicle and into the camper, I remember back in my days in the army, I remember getting woken up by friggin' leopard tanks rolling past my perimeter, and I was dead to the world, asleep on the ground with no sleeping bag, nothing, just resting my head on my pack, the ground rumbling and waking me up. How things have changed. How things have changed. I lock the camper all the time. These days, I think there's plenty of dickheads out there, and if you leave it unlocked and you pull up at lights, who knows what people might jump in there and grab out of there. It's just some dirt bags around these days. What else have we got here? So the toilet I'll put together in a second. This is more of an update on how I've been planning this trip. All the way up, I've actually used Hipcamp. There's an app called Hipcamp, because around Sydney especially, I was really struggling to find anywhere. Actually, up the east coast, I was really struggling to find anywhere that was like free camping, online anywhere. And that'll come with time. Like the more trips that I do, I think I'll find more free camps. But there's a website, an app called Hipcamp, and it shows a lot of places that have got a little bit of acreage or whatever. So, but it's kind of like Airbnb for camping. So it's people's property that you can go and camp on. So I found a couple of those. There's one up near Newcastle that I found. I'm staying there a couple of nights. It looks like a little farm. There's one in just the north side of Sydney on the Hawkesbury River. It's a water ski park or something like that. So I'm staying there for one night. Most of these things are just one night or 2 nights. But the further I go, the more often I go, I think the more I'll find free camping. What was weird to me is that it seems that in New South Wales, at least for the national parks, you've got to pay to go into them. Is that right? To me, that seems a little bit weird. And then you've got to pay to camp as well, which I thought was just weird, because here we don't. I'll just go out the bush and camp. There's no one there. Like, you don't have to get permits or anything. Is that normal, or am I missing something there? So look, I'll do more reviews, if you like, on these items that I've purchased here on the trip. So I'll record reviews for it on the trip. There's another thing that Vic Off-Road sent me, and it's bloody awesome. It's, you see over here, there you go. It's, the chair that I use is a Oztrail, those big moon chairs, and it's okay. Like, it's a very, very, very comfortable chair, but it packs really big, and it's probably too comfortable. Like when I'm doing work on a table and chairs, if I'm editing videos and stuff while I'm out there, which I do, you kind of want a bit more of an upright chair. And what these guys sent me is the best of both worlds. It's an upright chair that also reclines a bit, and it's a San Hema one. Let's pull that down a bit so you can see it. again, I'll do reviews on this as I go, but this is a bloody comfortable chair. And it doesn't fold up like it's not too big when it's all folded up. There we go, have a look at that. And the back leans, and it's bloody comfortable. It's surprising how comfortable this is. But the main thing that when they asked me, do you want to do, because I asked them about the shower tent, I contacted those guys and said, hey, you want to send me one of those and it'll get me out of trouble and I can review it. And they did, and they asked if there's anything else that I wanted to review, and I had a look, and they offered about the chair. And I was looking for a chair. This thing takes 200 kilos. And I believe it too, because this thing is really well built. It feels more sturdy than anything else that I've tried so far. And I've had a few chairs. I've had, as I said, I've got that Austrail one there. I've had a few of the Austrail ones that you just, like the director sort of chairs. I've had, what's that other one? The name escapes me. I used it when I was motorcycle camping because it folds down to nothing. Helinox chair. And they're pretty comfortable too. But then they don't take as much weight, and they tend to sink in the sand a bit, and you've got to buy other things to make sure you don't sink in the sand. But this is pretty damn good. It's got a little phone holder and stuff on the side. It's got a cup holder on the other side, because you really do want that. It's something that I definitely miss with the Moon chair. I've got a different table as well. You'll see that when I do the trip. What else? I've been getting ready. A lot of things going on in my head at the moment. There's something that on one of the what do you call it? The Facebook groups. The Facebook groups for signature campers, because someone was asking about filling water, and I tell you what, the way that this thing fills water is freaking horrible. Let me find what I'm looking for. I think it's in the other side actually. Yeah, it's here. And that's this. So underneath this camper, and underneath, I'm assuming all campers are like this. You're going to have a fill point and a drain point, and the fill point is around the other side around here. And you've really got to trickle water into this thing, because it holds 110 litres, I think, or 120 litres, but there's two tanks to it, like it's joined in the middle. There's a tap at the front, there's a tap on the side there for the kitchen, and there's a drain. And I'm assuming that all campers have got a drain, because you're going to be able to drain your water out. You can't leave it in there, surely. I'm not the only one who doesn't leave water in there, surely. Surely you don't leave water in your tank. But I thought, what if I found an adapter, because that's threaded underneath there. If I found an adapter, and this is just a bit of poly, what size is that? 3/4 to 1/2 inch. 3/4 to 1/2 inch. So 1/2 inch here, 3/4, 1/2 inch this side, and 3/4 this side, and that's just a regular tap adjustment, a tap connector. So that there screws onto the drain, and I just plug a hose into the bottom of this and fill the tank that way, and it works schmick. It works really well. That was a way, that's like a bit of a hack, I suppose, I guess. I don't know, do you call it a hack? Anyway, it certainly helps fill this water up so much better. There was something else that, I don't know if I've ever told you guys, that there's a few cheap things that I do. Some of the shit that I buy is quite expensive, but I spend the money, I guess, where the money needs to be spent. And sometimes you don't need to spend that much money. There's certain things that, why aren't you working? I just put that key in there like 3 times, I think, the same way. It didn't work. Then I went the other way, went back to the original way, and it worked. And that's cutlery, just like, you know, your fighting irons, your knife, fork and spoons. So these are just like regular cutlery that you would use in your home. And I got these from a thrift shop. So as you're fitting out a camper or setting up your whatever your camping situation is, you need knives and forks, and you need a number of things that you use in your house that you will absolutely use in your camping setup as well. And rather than take the stuff from your house and take it camping, just buy second stuff for your vehicle, for your setup. And some of it, when you buy, it's a little bit like, so some of you guys know I'm a wedding photographer as well, and I think with the wedding industry, you kind of go, hey, I'd like a bunch of flowers. Cool, that'll be $80. Oh, it's for a wedding. Oh, that's $8,000. It's kind of like that. Everything that's for a wedding seems to be more bloody expensive. It's like horses. There was a rope, a lead rope that Sarah got for a horse, and I was like, there's the shop here, and Bunnings is just down the road there. It's just a friggin' rope, and I'm sure it's the same thing, but because it's for a horse, it's more expensive. I think the same thing happens with camping. Camping can be bloody expensive to get into, so if you can think about cutting your corners, your cost corners in a way that, like going to a thrift shop, they're metal knives and forks. You can clean them yourself, and they're as good as new. So I did that, and like some of the mixing bowls that I have in here, same thing. I just went and got that sort of thing from the same thrift shop. And to put it into perspective, like this frying pan here, this would probably cost 30 or 40 bucks in the shops, but this cost me $2 in a thrift shop. $2. This little plastic colander was about $1, and this plastic mixing bowl, $1. And the knives and forks, I think they were like 20 cents each. So you can save an absolute mozza when you are happy to not buy brand new things. And that is definitely a way that you can save money while you're camping. There are some things that I just wouldn't skimp on. Things like the 12 volt stuff I wouldn't skimp on. I would spend the money that it needs to be spent to keep things nice and reliable. Here, have a look at this. This is a Zippo. I use Zippo pretty much all the time out bush. And I managed to get my little Skippy badge stuck on there pretty well. And it looks pretty neat, eh? Well, that's the old RAR badge. It looks pretty bloody neat. It looks like it was made like that. But I got the badge, the pewter badge at the War Memorial, I think it was, in Canberra, and it looks like it's made for it. What I'm doing at the moment, I've planned the trip. I'm going from here up to Wagga, onto Canberra. In Wagga, I found a place that I can free camp there. It should be fine. In Canberra, there's a national park there. You've got to pay to go on because I'm doing a video with someone there that's in a specific place. So I wanted to camp in that specific place, and I think it cost like $11 or some bloody thing. And then from there, I'm going, where am I going from there? I think from Canberra, I'm going up to Wiseman's Ferry near Sydney. And then from there up to Newcastle for a couple of days. From there up to, where then? Up to Yamba. I'll stay on the beach there at Yamba. I've never camped right there next to a beach before. That'll be a novel thing for me. And then I'll go and see my son and daughter-in-law for a couple of days up in Brisbane, just whilst I'm on that trip. And then I'm coming down the inland route. So like Gundagai, no, not Gundagai, Goondiwindi, down that way through Dubbo. Where else? Coonabarabran, I'm going there to shoot some videos for the photography channel because it's a dark sky park there. That'll be quite interesting. I'll go to Parks as well and get some video around maybe the big satellite dish there, the radio dish. So at the moment I'm just working out the best storage that I can do for that. So the trip up will be a week. It'll be a fairly safe trip because it's pretty populated up that way. So if I run out of something, I can always just go and buy it. But the idea here is I'll pack the car for a week and pack the camper for the week with all the food, the water, clothing, spare part, all that sort of stuff. And it'll be a nice shakedown run for this setup that I've got going on. There's a fair bit of highway driving in that. There's not going to be a lot of off-road driving, especially on the way up, but on the way down there's a bit. So yeah, that's pretty much what I'm doing. I'm sure that we all do it. I'm sure we all go through the process of when we're going on a trip, we start planning out what we need. I reckon it's pretty safe to say that whilst you're building your kit, every time you go away, you'll be putting more kit into your car and buying more. But I'm pretty close to having this all done the way that it needs to be done and almost finished. I was in this morning because yesterday I was a bit miffed in what was going on with my setup here. I had the trailer on the back of the cruiser and the trailer was leaning down on one side, and I'll be damned if I could work it out. And I thought the ground's not even, and I moved it to like 3 or 4 places out here in like the turnaround point at our house, and I just could not work out why on earth this trailer was always leaning on one side. So I called my mechanics in town here at Tyre Power. Interesting thing, I did a video when I was up in the high country and I mentioned that I didn't get out of the car because the handbrake wasn't working very well, and not long after that I got my car serviced in there at Tyre Power, got it back, didn't even mention the handbrake. Ash, if you're watching, thanks mate, you're a bloody legend. He fixed the handbrake because he watches my videos. How good's that? That's good service. But anyway, I took it in there this morning and just to get them to have a look at the trailer, the angle of the trailer. But on the way out, I got onto the bitumen, went into the middle of the road so the camber wasn't affecting the trailer. Got out, did it a few times, and it was perfectly safe, perfectly level. So I think it was just something here, and it was just bloody pot luck that I put it in a place each time and just found that. What else have I got to do before I go? I've got to put the other antenna onto here because it's not a high country trip, it's a longer trip, and from here to up to there is pretty bloody flat, so I'll put that, put the longer one on. The way I store, or the way I'm going to store, the second antenna, a friend of mine gave me the idea of putting, because I've got 2 of these, and most of us, if you go to high country or you go to hilly areas and then you are on the flat a fair bit, this here, the spare one of those that you probably should have, a pool noodle is perfect for storing these things. A friend of mine pointed that out to me. I thought, that's a bloody good idea, a pool noodle. Small cost, like $1.50 or something to hold your antenna. So I've got to change that over. I did some wiring on the cruiser all the way up until now. I've done all this 12 volt stuff to this Land Cruiser, and I've never ever had an Anderson plug on the back. So in there I set up I did the wiring in there just so I can charge the DC in the camper from the vehicle while I'm driving. So I've got good redundancy in there now for charging that with the vehicle and with the solar, just like most people do. I've just never quite got there. I set up the solar. Did I even show this in a video? I can't remember. Because there's things that I do here that don't share everything. There's things that I've done here that I've got the Hulk DC charger here. So I put the Hulk charger that there was in the Land Cruiser initially, and I actually thought it was faulty. Turns out it wasn't, and I wasted money buying a Red Arc one. The Red Arc one's fine. It wasn't a waste of money. I didn't need to spend it, is what I mean. So that's probably a waste of money. So I've set that up and put this Anderson plug here, and that goes into the Renogy solar panels that you may have seen in the other videos that the guys from Roller Solar sent to me, and it works really well. It charges the batteries up quite nicely. So it's a good, I'm quite happy with the setup there. A few people have told me go lithium, and when there's a reason to do that, I will. What I was telling you though was, I was talking to the guys in at Tyre Power about this just this morning, and we're talking about lifting the car. So I'm undecided whether or not I want to do that, and they're really good for advice, these guys. They said if they were going to do anything to your car, because these guys are off-roading guys too, they get up and do some pretty gnarly stuff. And they said if I was going to do anything to the car, they understand my situation. I go out midweek on my own, and they said before you do anything otherwise to your vehicle, the number one thing you should do is put a winch in the front. And I've thought about it and thought about it and thought about it, and I'll probably end up doing it. I just haven't researched anything with winches yet. I think those guys sell Runva winches. I'm not sure. I have to double check that. But a winch is probably on the cards very soon. I'm not sure which one I'll get. I've got to do research. What have you guys got? Let me know in the comments what winch you're using. The bull bar is a winch bull bar, so it's going to be easy enough to set up. Easy enough. Probably got to take the bull bar off to do the bloody thing, but it can do it. Should be a pretty good trip. It's not all off-road camping, it's not all bush bashing, it's not all that. Some of it will be, but some of it won't be. I think every time that you do something to your vehicle or do something with a setup, I think it's worthwhile doing a shakedown trip. And for me, it's bloody easy to do those. It's just ducking out to the bush for a night, and if something goes pear-shaped, it's easy enough to get back here to civilization to get things resolved. This will be the first time I go on a longer trip with such a setup and be 100% self-sufficient, and that's the idea, is to be, I shouldn't need to buy anything besides fuel between here and Brisbane over the course of that week. It's bloody windy today. So it'll be a nice, safe sort of shakedown trip. All right. I think that's all I've got to tell you today as far as updates go on what I'm doing and where we're going. I'll see you next week.